51, chapter 10. Before she leaves, so real quick, remember they were talking about going to the grocery store and the food and the cereal, and Merle seemed to already know what she liked before she even told her, which was kind of freaking her out, right? She was feeling all crazy and freaked out about it. So she lied and said she liked corn pops, even though she really wanted to say Fruit Loops, right? Good. All right, so chapter 10. She also acted weird about her even going to the store. Remember, she was like, my daughter never liked to go to the store at that age with me, so you probably don't want to go either. And I think Bethany thought really she was afraid of seeing more people like Tammy.
No, it's like she's not letting her go outside.
Yeah, it's like she's hiding something, right?
But they went to
Or hiding her.
Like my other one, I think.
Yeah, but remember what happened at the pool? Tammy acted really strange, right? That lady that they saw in the locker room. So I think Merle's trying to maybe not see more people who might react like that. But we don't know why yet, right? Not for sure, anyway. All right. Before she leaves, Merle shows me how the TV works and how to download movies on her cable system. She looks up the number for the grocery store and writes it down in big, fat numbers on a pad of paper beside the phone. She apologizes for being probably the last person in America who doesn't have a cell phone. And this is why we talked yesterday about how it is in present tense, even though, I don't mean present tense, I mean present day, even though Merle's old-fashioned. Like, she doesn't have a cell phone, but it does sound like cell phones exist and most people have them, right? If you need me for anything at all, just call the grocery store and have me paged. And believe it or not, people, that's what we used to do. I can remember calling the grocery store in my little town where I grew up and being like, is Janie Hennigan there? And then they would page her and we'd be like, get some whatever, too. Or,
Wait, you wasn't born in Texas?
I was born in Texas, yeah.
I was born
in a small town, though. I was actually born in Denton, but I grew up in a small town.
I was born in Texas.
All right, back to the book. I'm talking too much. Sure, I say, I'll be fine. And then Merle's gone, and the house is dead silent. I stand at the window, watching her blue car disappear from sight, and I feel abandoned once again. I stumble back and sit on the couch, and I listen for a sound, any sound. The hum of the refrigerator, the tick of a clock, the breathing of the furnace. There's nothing. This is something else strange to me, which I never would have admitted to Merle or anyone else, but here I am, 12 going on 13, and I have never once been alone. Oh, sure, sometimes I've gone to my room and shut the door, shutting my parents out, but even then I always knew they were there in the house, just on the other side of the wall, within earshot. Way back in 3rd grade, I started hearing from the other kids at school how they got themselves out the door in the morning an hour or two after their parents left for work, how they went home to an empty house and popped microwave popcorn and watched TV cartoons and didn't even touch their homework until their parents straggled in the door. By 3rd grade, I had the sense not to ask for this treat for myself. My mother would have popped microwave popcorn for me. She would have turned on the TV to the right station long before I got home from school. She would have sat on the couch with me, pretending to be just as interested as I was in Rugrats and SpongeBob SquarePants and Diva Girls. The wind blows outside and tree branches scratch against the house, and I jump half a foot off the couch. I start thinking about all of those 3rd grade classmates of mine as incredibly brave and not incredibly privileged. Stop it, I say aloud. You're almost 13 years old and you're perfectly safe. Isn't that why your father left you here? My voice sounds quavery and terrified. Remember what quavery means? Kinda shaky, yep. I reach for the TV remote, hoping for some movie I can drown my cowardice in. Remember cowardice we just talked about? Yeah. That means scared, right? Yeah. Drown my cowardice in for the next hour and a half. I hear a rustling sound and I jump again, but it's just the newspaper Merle was reading earlier. The Sanderfield Reporter, sliding down to the ground. You know, there could be a whole article in there about Elizabeth and you wouldn't even know because you're such a chicken, I goad myself. So she's encouraging herself to be brave. I don't really believe there's anything about Elizabeth in the newspaper, but I pick it up anyway and start reading. The front page is all about the president's latest speech and some embezzler in Chicago who's getting out of prison. Further in, I have my choice of reading about a PTO pancake breakfast or a street improvement project. Guess someone forgot to tell the Sanderfield reporter that much more interesting things are happening in my life right now, right here under their noses, I say. I'm really beginning to annoy myself with this talking out loud. It's probably an early sign of mental illness. Like moms, I think this rather than saying it, but that's hardly comforting. I turn another page of the paper and my eyes light on a photo of a dozen women posing behind a swath of flowers. Sanderfield Ladies Club spruces up courthouse lawn is the caption, and Merle's face floats fuzzily in the back row of the picture. But my eyes focus on what's behind her and the other women, the stone memorial. For someone who died a long time ago, Merle had said. Looking stricken before we got to the Y, before Tammy mistook me for someone she'd known years ago when she was my age, before Tammy looked like she'd seen a ghost. Have you noticed that sometimes they'll put things in italics? Italics are whenever the words are slanted a little bit. Like for someone who died a long time ago.
Yeah.
Sometimes in this book, sometimes it's things she's thinking, I think, but sometimes it's like from something that happened earlier in the book. Like a quote that somebody said, and they'll just kind of put it in there as like a review, like she's thinking about it. The way Tammy and Merle acted, I'm pretty sure Elizabeth is dead, and the woman at the front desk of the Y, whose boy was born before she moved here, didn't seem to notice anything unusual about my appearance, so probably Elizabeth died a long time ago. So what do you think she might be thinking? Here's what she's thinking. What if Elizabeth was the person memorialized on the plaque? What if the plaque had her full name on it, first and last? If I just got a glimpse of that plaque, maybe the birth and death dates for good measure, I could use Merle's computer, surely she has a computer, crank up a search engine and find out everything I want to know. I wouldn't need Merle to break her promise. I wouldn't need my dad to decide it was safe to tell me the truth. I just need to walk to the courthouse by myself, now, before Merle comes back. I don't move. It's not really that I'm scared. What's there to be frightened of walking a few blocks in tiny Sanderfield, Illinois, in broad daylight on a crisp October afternoon? I don't know, I mutter, and that's the problem. I feel like I'm trying to put a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle together with all but 2 or 3 of the pieces turned upside down. Maybe there is something to be afraid of. If Dad said I'll be safe at Merle's house, will I still be safe 4 or 5 blocks away? I like that simile, by the way. I feel like I'm trying to put a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle together with all but 2 or 3 of the pieces turned upside down. Can you imagine if you're trying to do a puzzle, but all the pieces are still on, where only you can see the cardboard side and not the picture side? That would be almost impossible, right? So I think what she's meaning is like, she doesn't know all the facts yet, but she has all these, a few clues that something weird's going on, but she can't put it together because there's so much she doesn't know. That wasn't actually a simile, I realized as I read it again, but she was comparing kind of her life and problem to a jigsaw puzzle. From the time I was a little girl, I've hated sitting still, doing nothing. It's that, finally, that propels me off the couch. I just decided to take a walk, get some air, I say, practicing excuses in case Merle comes home and catches me gone. I even write her a note on the tablet by the phone, under the grocery store's number, be right back, B. After all, it's not like she told me I couldn't go anywhere. My heart's pounding like I'm doing something horribly forbidden, but I try to ignore it. I also pretend to myself that it's perfectly normal to zip up my windbreaker to the very top, to pull my hood so it covers my hair and most of my face. I step outside, latching the door behind me but not locking it, and this, too, I try to defend. People leave their doors unlocked all the time in small towns, don't they? A stiff breeze hits me in the face, and I tell myself it's bracing, steadying. I take deep breaths and make it to the end of the block. Nobody's out walking except me, and I feel horribly visible to all the cars driving by. I hunch over, keeping my head down. I turn right, then left, wait at a traffic light, and go straight. And somehow, fighting fear and panic and a slight sense of what I'm doing is ridiculous, I reach the courthouse square. You will pick that up.
You threw it at me first. Come here.
My legs start shaking as I climb 2 concrete steps toward the memorial. The writing on the plaque is in fancy script that's not easy to read, but even with all the frills and flourishes, even from 6 feet away, I can tell. The first name's not long enough. It's Thomas, not Elizabeth. Brilliant work, Nancy drew, I think in disgust. You're so egotistical. Why would a plaque on a stone in Sanderfield, Illinois, have anything to do with you? I read the rest of the plaque anyhow. In memory of Thomas Wilker. Does that name sound familiar, Wilker?
No?
Okay. A good man and a great mayor. 1949 through 1991. Wilker, I think. Thomas Wilker. Merle Wilker. Is this her father? Grandfather? I remember that Wilker is probably Merle's married name. People at the Y called her Mrs. I do the math. This Thomas Wilker was 42 when he died, some 20 years ago. Merle is probably in her late 50s or early 60s. She and Thomas would have been about the same age. I've got no proof, but I'm certain. This plaque is a memorial to Merle's husband. So now we have
Yeah, living